Welcome back to CasualBiasRugby, round 3 of the Super Rugby. Aiden, we are back. And this should come as no surprise. Usually when a round 1 is as good as the Super Rugby was, then kind of the round 2 feels like a bit of a stinker because it set the standard and whatever. But then this round 2 decided, fuck it, let's try and top it. And I wouldn't necessarily say it topped it, but it came damn close. It's hard to go back to back to start off the weekend. Another weekend of special rugby. As we said, the gift that keeps on giving. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, brother. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it'll top the first week. We don't have as many of like the last minute winners as we did in week 1. But damn, were there some good games of rugby to watch. Some of the scorelines were still really close. And we had 2 pretty major upsets.
Yeah.
Especially to our predictions, but to anyone's predictions.
We thought it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty easy week to predict. And hell, even one of the games we got right was much closer than both of us expected.
All 3 of the Saturday games.
Yeah, all 3 of the Saturday games were, we almost messed up completely.
And then obviously we had the special Six Nations as well, because that was obviously must-watch TV. What a weekend of rugby.
Yeah, man, I was up from 3:30 in the morning all the way till 8 o'clock at night watching rugby all day. It was a brilliant day. I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, man. And
bro, it's like, I hate this saying where people are like, rugby is the winner. I think that's the biggest load of bullshit. But this week it felt like rugby was the winner. We were the winners. Right?
We were the winners.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's not waste any time. We're going to jump straight into our review as per usual, and then we're going to jump into our preview. People, if you do like the Super Rugby, you do like talking a bit of shit when it comes to rugby, that is exactly what we do. We are not analysts. We just chat shit as fans. Yeah. So hit that subscribe button. Join us in this little growth mission of the Super Rugby. Anyway, we started off Chiefs, Crusaders. We said it's going to be a banger.
Banger.
First and foremost, do you believe a 25-point victory for the Chiefs was a fair reflection of the game?
Yeah, it's the second 40. The Chiefs were ridiculous. That first half was sort of how we expected the whole game to be, really, punch for punch, tit for tat. Both sides looked brilliant, but someone lit a fire under the Chiefs in the second 40, and they were ridiculously good. Line breaks, offloads, try assists. It was so good to watch. And there was a Crusaders side who, they do have a couple injuries, but still really strong. They beat the Hurricanes, obviously, the week before. Yeah, man, it was
a sexy performance. It was a sexy performance, right? Like, do we just repeat what we said last week, where we were like, it just felt like a mature performance by the Chiefs. It just felt like they're a different breed of a team at the moment. The way that they're just approaching the game, it's so mature, it's so classy. And they whacked the Crusaders in the end. And this was no easy Crusaders team. We saw what the Crusaders did to the Hurricanes last weekend, but now you're thinking, well, is there a little caveat after that victory because of what the Drua did to the Hurricanes as well, right? Like, we'll speak about that in a second. But brilliant game. 25-point victory. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Over one of your biggest rivals.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs at the moment have like the perfect blend of youngsters versus experience, especially in their backline. Like, as much as it pains me, Lama Kapoihipi came off after 9 minutes. He was in my fantasy team, so he didn't get to play very long and did not get many points. But
how many points you got in your fantasy? Do you know?
Pardon?
Do you know how many points you got in your fantasy?
Like 500 and something. I moved up. I'm gaining on the field, but my centers were dreadful. But anyways, like bringing on Quintupaya, who then got like 98 points off the bench. Fair enough, he played, pretty much the whole game. But look, they've just got stars in the back line, All Blacks, lots of caps, and then they mix in the young talent like Josh Jacob, who had an incredible game at 10, with the backing of Damien McKenzie at 15, Imoni Narawa, and Leroy Carter, who's been exceptional. They've just got a great mix of talent, and they still don't have Wallace Satiti or Samasoni Tokiaho, both star players for the All Blacks. So the Chiefs are the team to beat.
And I mean, how good was Quintupaya as well? Wasn't that like his 50th game? Sensational.
Yeah, 50th game. Why was he off the bench, man? Like, why are you playing your 50th?
I don't know. But if he plays off the bench like that, He's the new Quagga Smith off the bench then. Because, holy shit. Well, obviously, he's getting his start this weekend, right? Deservedly so. You don't come in with a mission like that and then not start the next game.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah, just overall brilliant from the Chiefs. I don't want to knock the Crusaders that bad because it was Chiefs, just how good they were. Right? It's one of those scenarios. Let's go on. Reds, their first game of the season, right? In Australia, taking on Moana. I was impressed by Moana against the Force, but this Reds team, I told you, little underdog shout. They played well. Fraser McWright, what a dog. What a dog. He got so many fantasy points for me, and he got a yellow as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he had a real mixed bag. He wasn't doing too hot in the first 40, in terms of points at least. But then second 40, obviously he got a yellow card basically on the stroke of halftime. Came back from that, scored 2 tries, and got like 1 million points. He is sensational. I think he'll be a lock in most people's fantasy teams, and fair enough, he's probably going to be a lock in mine.
It's just because he's a little workhorse. So even though he's quiet, you still feel like, well, how did he manage nearly 20 tackles in the first half? That's kind of how it felt. Like everywhere you look, Fraser's there. Whether it's at the breakdown, a tackle, carrying the ball. Like the guy's just good at everything. He's one of those guys. No one likes someone that's like a jack of all trades, but he's one of those, and he's brilliant. Yeah. Right? What an absolutely scintillating player. Tim Ryan once again on the score sheet. This guy, I don't know how he scores all these tries, but he's always there to score. Dalguni gets onto the score sheet as well, which is brilliant stuff to see as a Wallaby fan. Right? So just a classy performance by the Reds. Obviously, Moana stuck in it for a little while, and then Reds just kind of ran away, and that was the perfect start to their season.
Yeah, I think it's really good to see your Aussie stars show up in these games, throughout the season. Obviously, it's all well and good to pitch up when you're wearing the gold of Australia, but it's good to see that those world-class players, they have Harry Wilson included, they're showing their talent and why they deserve to be in those teams. And look, it's perfect timing. We've got a Lions series this year for the Wallabies, so it's a good time for these guys to, be standing out. I think Moana, again, really good for 60-odd minutes. Kyron Tomoifalau is an absolute worldie of a player. He's very similar to Israel Folau in the way he plays. I said at the start of the season, he's a player to watch if you don't know much about Super Rugby. He scored 4 tries in 2 games. He is exceptional. He's everywhere. He's quick. He's great under the high ball. So I'd keep watching him if you are watching along with the Super Rugby. But yeah, just credit to the Reds for, really pulling away in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. What's your opinion been on Havili that's playing in that 10 jersey? I mean, like this guy is the epitome of, is he playing at 15 at the moment?
Yeah, Garden Bishop is playing 10.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Ex-Hurricane.
He always has like these up and down performances for me, but I feel like he's getting a bit more stuck in. I feel like I see him a bit more on the field in terms of getting into that attack. He's also a little fantasy shout. Like that guy, he'll rack up some decent points for you the way that he's playing at the moment.
Yeah, he's real similar, and like obviously he's a 15 playing 10 on the fantasy. He's listed as a 10, kind of like Damien McKenzie. But yeah, I think 15 suits him better. He gets more involved in the attack. He likes to have the ball a bit more, and at 10, it sort of feels like he's probably forced to pass and set up other people when he's a great player in his own right. So I think 15 just gives him that opportunity to get stuck in, be involved a bit more in the attack. And he's great under the high ball. He's got a good boot on him as well. So it really suits him. So I think we'll probably see more of him at 15. In fact, he's at 15 this weekend with Garden Bishop still at 10.
Yeah, surprise. Neither Fiji Drua, Moana Pacifica, or the Islanders are sitting in 11th place at the end of round 2, which is absolutely crazy to think about, right? Defending champion right there at the bottom. We got the Hurricanes, Drua. What a game. What a game.
Bro, it was ridiculous. I woke up at 3:30 for this one, and I was almost regretting my decision after seeing how close it was. I was going to be very sad that my day started with a Hurricanes loss. But man, both teams pitched up. Massive shout out to Napier, by the way. 11,000 people at the game. So good to see from both sides. That's what we want to see at Super Rugby.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. I couldn't believe that. Beautiful
11,000 people without even the Hurricanes' biggest stars. Like, how many stars are they missing and still stacked out?
Yeah, so credit to both. A lot of Fijians were there. Fijian supporters were there too. So that was awesome to see. That was the best atmosphere of the round. It was incredible. It was so good to see. Still a young Hurricane side. We're missing a lot of our key players. But the important ones that were playing really stepped up. Cam Roigard,
Has he ever had a bad game?
I don't
Has
think
he
so.
ever had a bad game of rugby?
He kept us in that pretty much single-handedly for a good while. Harry Godfrey, credit to him, he stood up at 10.
Yeah.
Man, it was nervy, I'll be honest.
Scary. You didn't deserve to win. I'll say it outright. You did not deserve to win that game.
I don't know about that. But
No.
I'll take the win. Some star performances from the draw as well. Obviously, Nasila Sela at lock had a barnstorming game. I think they had Armstrong Ravula at 10. He played really well. But, with that Fijian team, they can score from anywhere. It is so hard to defend sometimes.
Every try of them feels like it's a try of the season contender. I mean, look at that try that they scored from the turnover that the lock in the end ran in, right? My apologies. I don't know all the names like Aiden does. That's why Aiden's over here, right? What a try that was. Just like throwing the ball around like it's absolutely nothing. I felt like that was still a try in touch rugby. I don't think any Hurricanes player touched the guy while he still had the ball. That is crazy, right? They just score some of the most beautiful tries. And I think if you're the drawer, it kind of feels like the Scotland versus England game where it was like, we could have won that one. We had it because they scored a try right at the end and then conceded one right at the end again.
Yeah. It is a bit of a thing. Sometimes they just need a bit more like clinical mindset. There was a try that they butchered as well that I don't know what he was thinking. The guy, he made a break. There was 3 Drua player and 1 Hurricanes player. And the support runner was celebrating. And the guy needed to pass it. And he couldn't pass it because the support runner was celebrating. And so when he did eventually pass it, he just basically threw it forward for no reason. It was a guaranteed try, which they messed up.
So now you have to admit that they should have won that game because if you think about that bend-off try, I think wasn't there like 2 pretty solid try scoring opportunities, if I'm not mistaken. My mind's going blank now.
Yeah, but that was for both sides. I mean, that one particular was a big mistake, but like there were try scoring opportunities that were butchered by both. There's a lot of handling errors. I think it was quite hot and the ball was slippery with sweat. Is my guess. But yeah, I mean, it's a win. It's the Hurricanes' first win of the season. I'm happy.
Tell me, you score a try, 4 minutes to go to take the lead. You think you score the match-winning try, then you're going to see it a try immediately after.
Yep.
Oh, sad day at the office. Anyway, upset of... how many years have we not seen as big as an upset like this one? Islanders beating out the defending champions, the Blues, making the Blues 0-2 in the league this far. 29 points to 21. The Blues get nothing from the game. I thought a little cheeky Bowden Barrett in the fantasy team. They might rack up a couple of points. He scores a try right at the start. I'm like, yeah, suck that, you D-Mac fanboys, right? Like, I knew D-Mac got 50 points, but I was like, he just scored, going to rack up like 40 to 50 points on these Islanders. And I support the Islanders, right? But fantasy doesn't wait for anyone. He stinks it out the rest of the game. Well, the whole Blues team stinks it out for the rest of the game, and the Highlanders causes the upset of the century. Beautiful. Tavanua. However you pronunciate it. My bad, right? How good is he?
Oh, my God. He is Timothy
All Blacks out.
Tavanawai. Get him in the All Blacks. He stayed in New Zealand for long enough. He wants to play for the All Blacks. He declined an offer to go play for Fiji. He wants to play in black. If he keeps playing like that, he deserves to be in. Oh my goodness, that man can make turnover steals and then immediately kick it into a 50-22. It was an absurd game from him. They were down to 13 men. Obviously, they got a red card, but since it was a prop and they had a prop injury, they had to take another person off. So for 20 minutes, they played with 13 men. And I think they scored in that phase when they had 13 people.
They did.
It was a true worldy performance. Obviously, they were mourning also Garden Bashett. It was great to see that stuff at the start of the game, the moment of celebration rather than the moment of silence. The haka they did to his family. I think he might have been on their shoulder. he might have been on their shoulder because they played out of their skin. And it was
ridiculous.
Also had a worldie, 2 tries. He's in with a shout if he keeps playing well, to put his name in the ring for maybe an All Black squad in the future. But I loved it.
But Tava Nawai, right? He's had consistent seasons of playing great rugby, right? We haven't seen a lot of depth in terms of the All Blacks centre pairing, right? Especially in that 12 jersey, right? Like we've seen Jordie Barrett, we've seen Rieko Ioane, Billy Proctor has come through, Anton Leonard-Brown plays off the bench. Surely he just gets a game. Give him a game somewhere just to go and source it out a bit.
Yeah, I think, definitely got to get involved. We get quite a large squad for the summer series against France. I think with them sending a B team, it's a perfect opportunity.
Oh, yes.
To just try stuff. Because obviously that's the first thing we'll do in the year. So, yeah, just get these guys in, get them experiencing it. If he can do that in a black jersey, mate, what is going on?
That means he's unreal.
Yeah.
I'm not writing off Jordie Barrett. Jordie Barrett's world class, right? One of the best centers in the world. But just like to build depth, imagine you have Jordie Barrett and then that's your backup.
Yeah. I mean, he could probably play 13 as well, to be fair.
Yeah. And my feelings around Rieko Ioane. I think he's a world-class winger. I think he's very average at 13. I think you'll ruin a lot of his game by playing him at the outside center.
Yeah, I think with the amount of talent we've got coming through, it's definitely, I would say, the position that's most up for grabs in the midfield. I'll be honest, I think
when Stefan Ganuku comes back.
Yeah,
that outside center. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually think the starting 13 jersey is more up for grabs than the bench center jersey. Because I genuinely think they will never get rid of Anton Leonard-Brown. He is the perfect bench center because he can play 12, 13, and he can play on the wing. So realistically, he's almost a lock in that bench spot. But with Billy Proctor, Tava Nawai, Quinn Tupaia, all coming in and staking their claim, it's going to be tough for Rieko to hold his spot. I think Jordie has definitely proved himself as the premier 12 by quite a way at the moment. So I think that 13 jersey is going to be interesting to see who they start slotting in because Rieko can't just fly on his name alone anymore. He has to be putting up performances.
And it feels like he's been doing that for a little while now.
Yeah, I mean, he performs well in the black jersey.
From an outside perspective, though, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, his work rate is sort of tough to see sometimes. He's moved quite a bit into the defensive side of things, which is obviously less flashy. But, yeah, I mean, some of these players are really going to push for that jersey, so he's going to have to step up too if he wants to keep that black 13 on his back. Yeah,
I wouldn't get rid of Rieko Ioane. I think there's still a spot for him on the wing. There's not a lot more dangerous players with open field in front of them, pure finishers like Rieko Ioane. That guy screams a try when he's on the wing every single game. I just feel like you take a lot away from his game if you play him at 13, especially when you have all these specialist 13s there. I've been screaming for Billy Proctor for so long, right? Billy Proctor, Lester Ganuku's coming back. I loved him at 13 for the Crusaders as well. Quinn Tupaia looks like, well, obviously we're judging it on one game, right? But he looked a lot better this weekend. Tava Nawai, whatever, right? My bad. But yeah,
you got to remember, Quinn Tupaia was the starting All Black centre until he got injured. He was there with Leonard-Brown starting until he got his leg broken by Darcy Swain. I'm not over that. His career was put on hold. He missed the World Cup because of it, and now he's back in the form of his life. So it's great to see, and I hope he does get another run at the black jersey.
Yeah. Moving on to the final game, another banger. The thought like this final game where it's hold your seats, don't get up just yet. We'll score a last-minute winner once again, right? Beating out the Brumbies, full-strength Brumbies, by the way. All the big names there. Getting it done in Brisbane. Absolutely. Is it Brisbane? Canberra.
Yeah.
Bro, for the first time in this generation, absolutely crazy. Loved it.
The Brumbies are usually hometown bullies. They They usually beat almost every team that comes to Canberra. I predicted that they would win comfortably. They had pretty much all of their good top players back without Valentini. That's probably the only omission. Well, 10 minutes in, the Force are 21-0 up. They scored 3 tries in 10 minutes. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. Ben Donaldson, the most history teacher-like guy.
Yeah.
Cooking in that
Carlo Pisano, Dylan Peach, all of them. Like, it was just really starstruck almost, it seemed like the Brumbies were at the start of that game. They came back into it. Eventually.
But when they came back into it, I think we all thought, okay, well, they're winning this game from there. They've got all the momentum, all the ascendancy. Lose it again.
Yeah. I mean, the Force just never gave up, and they won it at the end of the game, and it was bizarre. I felt like the Brumbies would be kicking themselves because for me watching it, it looked like they squandered a lot of their opportunities, whereas the Force, who I thought were getting less opportunities, were more clinical. They took advantage of them and often scored points. So,
how many points did that captaining Tom Wright get you?
About 100 and something. It was okay. He got like 52 points.
Yeah, still a solid game from him. That's it for our review of round 2. You ready to chat about the fixtures?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, we're starting off Friday. Moana versus Highlanders.
Bang
This screams high scoring or very low scoring. One of those. I don't even know. Another 40-35.
I hope so, because I've got 2 of the outside backs in that game in my fantasy team. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Currently, Kyron Moifalau and Caleb Tangitau, who's also had a great season so far. So
you backing home run advantage?
Yeah, so it's at where is it? North Harbour Stadium, which is the Moana's ground in Auckland. You won't like that ground, Casual. It's the ground you got beat 57-0 at. The Springboks, that is.
I don't remember that game.
I'm sure you don't.
But I don't remember 2017 or 2018.
Fair enough. We'll just leave that out. Right. I honestly have no idea what to predict here. If you went off form of the last game, then you'd say Highlanders. But Moana at home, obviously they were away to the Reds. That's never easy. They were away to the Force as well. So this is their first home game. Man, I'm
just because it's their first home game, it feels tough not to back them.
Yeah. I've been wrong for quite a few so far this season, which I'm not mad about. But, I'll pick the Highlanders by 2.
No. That was going to be my pick. I don't like that we agree on this one.
I'm wearing the Straits jersey, man. I have to.
I was just like, I hope they can go back-to-back. You see it so many times where a team pulls out an all-timer performance and then an all-time stinker afterwards. Yeah, and I'm really scared about it. Sorry?
Moana to get a bonus point, and then when the Hurricanes beat the Blues and they don't get a bonus point, the Blues will still be at the bottom of the table.
I'm backing the Islanders as well. Give me 2 in a row, 2 solid performances in a row. Give me the Islanders by 7 points. Because, there's never... I mean, I say never. All these games are in one try. But it shouldn't come as a surprise where it's a tight game, but still a team wins by 14 points. Scoring 2 tries right at the end. That's just how it works in the Super Rugby. I'm going to back the Islanders by 7 points. They just showed so much maturity going up against that Blues team. But obviously, what do we judge the Blues on? They're just thinking it out at the moment. So, backing the boys... I can finally say I've backed the Islanders, who I support, for a game to actually get a victory. Then we're topping it off with another one. Waratahs versus the Drua. No Swali'i, as you mentioned.
No Swali'i.
But I do like Kellaway back at 15. I think it's a sensational 15.
Yeah, he is. It's a tough one because I think the Drua will... go back to the drawing board and try and fix those silly mistakes they made against the Hurricanes, which they could have won the game if they, sorted out. I think they'll try and fix that against the Waratahs. Obviously, they have to go away and play the Waratahs as well.
Waratahs? Are they in Brisbane?
Waratahs is Sydney, I believe.
Who's Brisbane then?
Brisbane is Reds, Queensland Reds, Brisbane. Think so. Yeah, must be. Yeah. They play at Suncorp. Yeah. The Reds play at Suncorp, so it must be Brisbane. Yeah, the Waratahs are my dark horse, so I kind of have to back them, but I think it'll be a close game.
Well, how are you sitting on it, knowing the Waratahs' performance in round one? Because now, obviously, that performance is like, okay, well, they got the victory over the Islanders, who looked really, really good against the Blues, right? So do we say, okay, well, maybe the Waratahs, everything wasn't clicking, but they still got the victory over the Islanders, who did come out to play, who really came out to play against the Blues. I'm backing the Waratahs with a confident victory on this one.
Yeah, I think it's important to note with the Drua, they're still missing some of their star players. Yosefo Masi in the centres was their best player last year. Rava Tomato is still injured, who's probably their best in the back three. Like, he's a huge impact. They do have a Canaveri back. He'll love a run of the ball. He'll probably score a maul try or break away and score like a 60-metre runner. It's just sort of how it works with the Drua. But I just think the Tars just a little too clinical, I think.
Fair. I'm backing the Tars as well, but I think I'm backing it on the Drua coming close, but that kind of not getting it over the line, stunting them a bit. So I'm backing the Waratahs to get like an 18, 19 point victory on this one. High scoring again, but 18, 19 points. Just because you know the knock in confidence that you get when you don't get it over the line. It kind of just kills a bit of the momentum, especially when you know you should have won it. Unless, obviously, you just decide, we're taking that momentum forward. We're doing it the next weekend. So it can go either one of those two ways, in my opinion. Let's go Saturday. Chiefs versus the Brumbies. Can you look other than the Chiefs at the moment with the way that they're playing? Do you think the Brumbies bounce back, saying that was a slip-up?
Yeah, I think the Brumbies will bounce back. The issue is it's away. The Aussie teams notoriously play well at home and struggle to travel, whereas the New Zealand teams have been more consistent with home and away games. The Brumbies are probably the best at traveling of all the teams. They've been the best team in Aussie for a while now. But, you look at how this Chiefs team is performing, it's going to have to be a big performance. I think the last time they played each other, the Chiefs thumped them in New Zealand.
Do you reckon that happens again with the way that they're playing at the moment?
I don't know about a thumping. I think it was like a 40-point victory last time. It was something ridiculous. But I think the Brumbies will bounce back. They've got class players, Tom Wright, Leonard Kitau in the centres as well. Charlie Cale's been excellent at number 8. Obviously, still missing Valentini, which is huge at the breakdown for them. And also, he's a great ball carrier. Whereas the Chiefs have just been excellent everywhere. 1 through 15, 1 through 23, they've been excellent so far. So you got to back them. I'd say semi-comfortable by about 2 tries. I'd say like 14 points, 15 points.
Yeah, I'll back you on that one. Just with the way that they've played, the maturity of it. I don't know. The Brumbies didn't fill me with confidence, but then it's like, that was 10 minutes. After that, it was pretty Brumby dominant, right? Like the way that they came back into that game, should have won it, woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. I'm also going to back the Chiefs just because it's at home as well. You look at what they did against the pretty confident Crusaders team. They should get it done.
Yeah.
I'll back you with like 15 to 20 points. Not a knock on the Brumbies, but just another great performance by the Chiefs, just to kind of keep on setting the standard of where everyone needs to get at. Hurricanes versus the Blues. I'm struggling to back the Blues. I'm like, can I back them 3 times in a row? And I've still got a feeling they might lose it. I am going to back the Blues. Away from home, at the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, they looked like they were leaking tries against the Drua. Everyone looks like they're going to leak tries against the Drua, to be fair. But all those injuries, at some point, it has to click for the Blues. And they need to. You're not going to be defending champions losing 3 games on the trot. That is crazy. You're not the Crusaders of last season.
I was just about to say, it's exactly what the Crusaders did. Yeah, looking at this Hurricanes team, we are missing key players. We're missing a starting prop, a starting hooker, starting lock, starting back rower, starting 10, starting 12, starting 13, and starting 15. We're missing a lot of our best players.
At least you got Lakai back.
Pardon?
At least you got Lakai back.
Yeah, Lakai's back. He's starting, which is great. Starting at 8, which will be interesting. Braden Yosse moved to the bench. These young guys, they're great on attack. They're exciting. They've got flair. They can break the line. Offloads galore. I think there's a bit of naivety sometimes on defense, and we saw that against the Drua, where sometimes the cooler heads of those guys with experience prevail, and they're a bit, tighter, especially with Billy Proctor gone. He was a massive influence on defense. Yeah. I think it'll be tough. We have to make sure we fix that, plug the holes a little bit, like you said, not leak as many points, because eventually the Blues will play well, right? Like they haven't played well yet. And if they do play well, they're tough to beat. I mean, we did well against them last season. We won at home when we played them last season, but we had a full-strength team at the time, and we don't for this game. So, look, I'm going to back my Hurricanes because I always will. I do think we can win the game. We've got exciting talent. I think as long as we fix up the defense a little bit, we've got enough attack to score tries against any team in this competition.
Yeah. So you just look at that Blues team, especially the backline, right? Oscar Institutu back, by the way, scary sight. Very, very scary. Player of the year last season. That's just how good he was. He's in my fantasy, by the way. I've dragged him in there. I said, listen, you're going straight back onto form. You're getting into the fantasy. Then looking at that backline, and it's like, how long can those guys go without firing? I don't see them misfiring 3 weekends in a row, especially not against the inexperienced Hurricanes team who has looked defensively shaky here and there. At some point, it's got to work out. And I've got a feeling it just works out enough to get over the line by 5 points this weekend.
I mean, first of all, Satutu played against the Highlanders.
He was off the bench.
No, he wasn't. He started.
What?
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
I had him on my team for fantasy.
I'm having an absolute stinker.
Yeah. So he wasn't great last week. He was all right, but it wasn't brilliant. I'm backing my Canes. I can't not do it. I think we'll get it over the line. It might just be optimism, but I'm going to say the Canes by 9.
Oh my goodness, bro! Apologies to the people watching this. I've had a couple of brain farts out here on this filming. At least Aiden's here. Otherwise, I'm just talking out of my arsehole. I've literally said Tavatava Nawai's name wrong about 10 times. I've said the Brumbies are from Brisbane. Then I said the Waratahs are from Brisbane, and now I've got Oscar Institutu. I haven't started in a while. Goodness gracious, it's terrible. Apologies.
That's all good.
Anyway.
Remember, we're just punt. We're not even real analysts. We just do it for shits and gigs.
But the whole thing is anyway based on, like, obviously I can't watch all the games. Like, I'm not as invested as Aiden, for instance. This is his local thing, right? Like, I watch it as much as I can, but obviously the depth and everything a lot better than me. Final game. We get this screams banger. This screams game of the weekend.
Banger.
This screams game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Force versus the Reds.
Man,
another 80-minute buzzer scorer there for the Force. What do you reckon?
It's tough because normally I'd look at this fixture, and even though it's in Perth, I'd go Reds, pretty comfortably, especially how they've been performing last couple of seasons. I backed the team playing the Force both times in round 1 and 2, got it wrong both times. So do I change up and support the Force to win this, or do I stick with what I know?
Last season, I was so good. Do you know how much money I put on the Reds beating the Force last season? And the Force hammered the Reds last season. I don't know. There's something about this Force versus the Reds. I think, didn't the Force beat them twice?
Maybe. I could probably look.
Because I was so confident in the Reds. I was like, the Reds, they're going to do it, right? put up a couple of stacks there, lost it all. But I'm backing the Reds again. Give me my little dark horses in this thing to go back to back, get it done at the Force Ground. You can only ride your luck for so long, right? Nearly butchering a 21-point lead, unforgivable, right? Got it over the line against Moana. Now, nothing against Moana. The Reds has more quality. I'm sorry, but the Reds are a better team. They looked so good. You compare the two games against Moana, the Reds just looked so much better, and the Reds weren't really at the races even in the first half, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just found the result from last year. The Force won 40-31.
But I think there was a couple of tries at the end for the Reds to just get them back in it.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, this Reds team has so much talent in it, man. They've got two of the three starting back rowers for Australia. Dalgunu in the back's been sensational. Fluke is underrated. He didn't score too many points in fantasy, but he's an incredibly good 13. They've got some great forwards too in the locks. So
how big of a loss will Paisami be?
He's a real attacking threat, Hunter Paisami. He can break the line from anywhere and sort of get an offload away. Him and Fluke usually work really well together.
We forgot to talk about it, right? I just want to hear your opinion. What was your thoughts on that tackle? Because I was looking at it, and yes, it was a tough hit. Like, that was a hard hit, back of the head, whatever. But that just screamed to me rugby collision. Like, I couldn't see a lot that Paisami could do because he was coming in cover defense. He was bent as low as he possibly could have been. I mean, he was knee height, but because the ball got taken at about knee height, they whacked it. So now he got suspended. But in my opinion, I was just like, that is obviously sad, right? And that could have been very, very bad. But that is probably the most unlucky that you could possibly be. That is not the same as the Gary Ringrose. That's not your normal head-on-head collision where he has to go to tackle school or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough in those situations because, like, we need to protect player safety, and that's ultimately like the main reason behind all these changes and why he got cited. But it's like,
was he unsafe though?
What's that?
Was he unsafe though?
Yeah.
Like, what should he have done?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what could he have done different? Like, not tackle him? Like, obviously we can't do that. It's like the whole point of rugby. So I think in situations like that, I don't think there's a good answer to it, to be honest, at the moment. No. And that's why they're doing all these changes. Just like see what works and see what doesn't. But in situations
I just feel a sighting is very harsh for that one. Because I remember we played a game, was it right before the World Cup? Yeah, the game that Siya Kolisi came back, right, with his miracle recovery. Damian Willemse made a tackle on the Welsh winger. I can't even remember who it was. I think it might have been Rio Dyer, right? Also bent head on head, but they didn't sight him. They sent him off on a yellow and brought him back on. But that was head on head. And I thought that was a lot more ugly than this Paisami one. I think we have to really think about where it comes into dangerous play, literally just a rugby collision. Like, I applaud refs where they can see that was just a rugby collision. The same with the one between, who was it in the England game with Carl Rowe? I thought that was like, the guy was running away. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not that deep, right? That is not dangerous or anything like that. Relax. Yeah, this one could have turned out dangerous, but it wasn't. There was no nastiness in it. There was nothing dirty. There was no tackle technique or anything like that. It was literally screaming rugby collision. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just tough. I just think the sighting was a bit harsh. Like, I understand in the moment, but yeah, I don't know what else he could have done, which is the weird part.
Cited for as long as Intermax tackle, by the way. No, please.
Yeah.
Please. Anyway, who are you backing?
I'm just going to stick with what I think I know and say the Reds by 5.
Yeah. I'm backing you, but I'm going to say more. Finally, the Reds has to go into it convincingly. Give me the Reds by 13. Okay. Maybe the Force score a couple of tries at the end just to bring it closer, but the Reds by 13. There you go. That brings us to the end, people. Please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Go to Aiden's TikTok. Go follow him at Rugby Ramblings. And we will see you guys next week, Wednesday. In the comments, by the way, if you made it till here, comments if you want to see it maybe a bit sooner, a day or whatever sooner. But I think the Wednesdays work pretty well. Well, it's Thursday there. But yeah. Anyway, see you next time. Adios. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.